Good evening and welcome to our Ogden City Council meeting for October 27th, 2015. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present with the exceptions of Councilmember Wicks, who is asked to be excused tonight. We'll turn the time to Vice Chair White for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please now join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. First item on our agenda tonight is reports from administration concerning the Ogden City Justice Court recertification.
Mayor Brown will be making that presentation.
Welcome, Mara.
Chair Heyer, members of the council. Before you is a proposed resolution that would request the recertification of the Ogden City Justice Courts, and this will be provided to the state courts, and it's part of a process that's been going on. Recertification of the justice courts happens every 4 years, and on the administration side, we've been reviewing the operations of the court, and the city attorney has gone through all of the laws, the state laws that govern the operation of the courts to make sure that we're complying with all of those requirements. And the chief judge, Andrea Lockwood, has also gone through and ensured that all of those requirements are being met, and she's signed an affidavit to that effect. And Attorney Williams' letter to you indicating that we are in compliance and that he's recommending the continuation of the Justice Court. That's all before you, and we're just requesting that you approve the resolution and recommend recertification.
Any questions for Mara? I do have one question. It seemed kind of inconsistent to, if we were not going to recertify, that they would want a year notice, but if we want to recertify, they only want 6 months. Is there something that we can do to make sure we kind of short circuit that, to make sure that they're both due at the same time, or?
I'm not sure if that's
not a question that we can even address.
Yeah, I mean, that may be governed by state law, those time frames. And I think if we were not going to recertify, there would be a whole process where our cases would go back to the district court.
So if we were not going to certify, maybe the better question is this: if we weren't going to, how would we make sure that we decided that before it was too late?
Well, that's a matter of timing and just the appropriate meetings and process and review and just getting that started.
Something to talk about later.
Yeah, something to talk about later and,
right.
and not before you tonight.
I just thought I'd throw that out for you.
Okay, well,
Looks like I stumped you there, so.
Good thought, but I think that would require a lot of advanced planning and meeting and going through and reevaluating and making any recommendations of whether we would continue or not.
Okay.
At that time.
So we won't have the opportunity for another 4 years.
So as far as the recertification process goes. Mm-hmm.
From the information, it seems like the revenues are going to cover the operating cost of the courts. Is that correct on that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, any more questions for Mara? All right.
Okay, thank you.
If there is no further discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2015-15.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Gochner, seconded by Councilmember Garner, to adopt resolution 2015-15. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Garner.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Vice Chair White.
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye. That passes. Next item is a public hearing. First is fiscal year 2016 budget amendment. Like we'll hear from Ms. Stout. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. It's an honor to be here this evening. I am here to discuss a proposed ordinance before you to increase the budget for Ogden City in the amount of $1,604,000, and I'm going to round to the thousands. We are appropriating some additional funding in the general fund to recognize a donation the city received and to recognize a donation from Comcast Cares activity, and then from a private citizen for the purchase of a police animal. We are also going to recognize the use of fund balance from the general fund in the amount of $100,000 to go towards branding. The CIP fund, we are going to appropriate some money out of the critical contingency fund to be transferred to the airport. This will be a permanent transfer. It will not be required to be paid back by the airport. And then during the next budget cycle, the city will look at refunding the critical contingency in the amount of $100,000 so that is available for future use when there are needs. Additionally, we're going to appropriate an additional $700,000. This is a FAA grant. The city is going to have 2 FAA grants in the amount of $1 million each in quick succession in the next fiscal year. We already had 1.3 budgeted. We're just budgeting the additional $700,000 necessary for the entire fiscal year. And finally, we are appropriating some funding in the IT fund to allow IT to remain within budget as they purchase supplies or equipment for other departments, and they are reimbursed for those purchases when they're made by the departments they purchase them for. Do you have any questions regarding this budget opening?
Any questions for Lisa?
But just quickly describe, so if I'm in a different department and I buy equipment, the IT is reimbursed for, will you just describe that really quickly?
So if, for example, if I needed a new computer and I had the funding to purchase that, I would ask IT to find the best computer for me, and then they would invoice me. That's an internal invoicing process that we have set up.
And that money comes from the allocation every year for replacement of equipment, and they allocate that out to the different departments. So that money would be coming from that.
Any other questions?
Can you review just briefly about the FAA grants that's coming to the airport?
Yes, there are 2. Now, FAA tells the airport what needs to be done, and the amount of the grant depends on our passenger. John Greiner, the airport manager, did a transmittal with the budget package describing each of those grants and the purpose for them. And I apologize that he is not here this evening. He is much better to speak to that than I am.
The extra money that we're receiving this year is because we hit a certain passenger level with our commercial flights. So, and that money has to be used on infrastructure, it has to be used at the airport, and is most generally used for runways and taxiways.
And it's a matching grant, correct?
We have a 10% matching grant to that grant, so that's a pretty good deal.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council regarding this petition, now would be the time.
Since there's no movement on this, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Councilmember Blair to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, do we have a
And I'll
motion?
make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2015-45.
Okay, Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Vice Chair White, to adopt proposed ordinance 2015-45. And this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Garner.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Vice Chair White.
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye, and that passes. Next item on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Not seeing any takers. Comments from our mayor.
Two quick things. One, I'd like to tell the Weber State debate team we appreciate them being here and the professors for working through it. I know that's not an easy thing to do, and I think it's great that you're here and involved in the process. And number two, next Tuesday's election day, and I'd certainly encourage everybody to get out and exercise their rights to vote.
Thank you. Council members, any comments? Okay. All right. Next item on our agenda is consideration of adjourning into a closed executive session. Do we have a motion regarding that?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn into a closed executive session.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Councilmember Blair to move into a closed executive session. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Garner.
Aye.
Vice Chair White.
Aye.
Chair Heyer.
Aye. And that passes. At the conclusion of our closed executive session, we will return to the chambers to adjourn from this meeting, and then we'll have a work session following with the Weber State debate team. Looking forward to that. So we'll be back shortly. Meeting the city council meeting after the closed executive session for October 27th, 2015. And so now,
Now I'll make that motion.
now we can make that motion.
So I'll make a motion we adjourn the city council meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Garner, seconded by Councilmember Blair to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay,